Welcome everyone to this webinar today. My name is Jennifer Collier. I'm the Marketing Manager at Practice Doc. Today's webinar is entitled How to Turn Your Phone Calls into Profits with our special guest, Catherine Melly. As an aesthetic marketing strategist, entrepreneur, and aging baby boomer with a strong career background in sales and marketing, Catherine Melly is in a unique position to understand the needs of aesthetic patients, the physician, and the staff they work with. Catherine is the author of a popular book called Your Aesthetic Practice, What Your Patients Are Saying. She's the creator of several patient attracting and staff training products to help you attract more patients and profits. Catherine speaks all over the country and is a regular writer to the top medical publications in the industry. Her 12-year-old firm, Cosmetic Image Marketing, specializes in growing aesthetic practices by using creative marketing strategies. I will now turn this webinar over to Catherine. Welcome.
Thanks, Jennifer, and welcome everyone. I'm delighted to present to you today on a topic that is near and dear to my heart because I work with lots of practices to improve this part of their practice, so I know how challenging the phones can be. So the strategies I lay out for you today should really help to convert more callers to appointments. And by the way, feel free to ask me questions as I go along. You can simply type in a question in the question box to the right side of your screen, and I'll be sure to answer it at the end if I haven't covered it already and if we have time. And then I'll be sure to stay, and then please stay to the end because I've got some bonuses for you. So let's go ahead and begin. You probably know how prospective aesthetic patients today are well educated on aesthetic procedures. So they call you for additional information. They're really typically interested now, and they need and expect a solid conversation with the receptionist. Now, these are typically high-quality leads that can be turned into profits if handled correctly. So this webinar will give you strategies to turn your front desk into the most profitable area of your practice.
Maybe I'm sorry.
You need to mute your side, please. And you know what's funny? The webinar is full, so I'm glad you guys got on because I keep getting this message saying they can't get on. So, wow, this was very popular. So the receptionist plays one of the most pivotal roles in the aesthetic practice. They have the power to answer the telephone in such a way as to turn that caller into a loyal patient who returns again and again, or they have the power to end that call abruptly and lose potentially tens of thousands of dollars in services for that caller, as well as lost revenues from referrals. So think about it. Prospective patients will never meet the physician or other staff members if they don't have a good experience with their initial telephone call into your practice, because nothing is more important in aesthetic medicine than patient relations. I mean, aesthetic patients don't need your aesthetic services, they want them. When patients are spending their own money on elective procedures, they expect a certain level of service, and that starts with the first telephone call they make to your office. The person answering the telephone must ensure the caller has a great experience every single time. Making the most of every single patient interaction will help make sure they stay, they pay, and they refer their friends. You know, it would really help if you put yourself in the caller's shoes. I'm sure you personally have shopped around using the internet or print ads or even the yellow pages. So think about the process you went through. Perhaps you needed an attorney or a dentist, and you had absolutely no idea who to call. So what did you do? Well, in the old days, you would have thumbed through the yellow pages and you would have picked one of the ads that looked interesting. You then apprehensively picked up the telephone to call to learn more and to try to figure out if this business you were calling was any good, reputable, and if they could help you with your problem, right? But think back to the various responses you got. Hadn't some of those calls gone horribly wrong? Perhaps they didn't pick up the telephone in time, so you simply gave up and hung up. Or perhaps they picked up after 5 or 6 rings, and now they sounded impatient. Or perhaps they answered with indifference, showing absolutely no interest in you as a prospective customer. Or perhaps they answered the telephone, but they didn't have any of the answers to your questions, so you hung up, only to call your competitor to see if they knew any better. Or on the other hand, maybe they answered the telephone enthusiastically and really cared about you and your problem, and their concern showed through, so you felt they were the right solution for you. Well, it's no different in the aesthetic industry. Prospective aesthetic patients are interested in looking and feeling good, so they're searching for the right physician and staff to help them. Now, it's helpful to remember the aesthetic patient's actually a consumer with emotional needs. Their basic wants are to feel respected, listened to, and they must feel comfortable with every aspect of this experience, or they're going to go somewhere else where they do feel more comfortable, and they'll take their friends with them. So having said that, it is the responsibility of the receptionist to make each caller feel special, comfortable, and cared about. Why? Because that call can be worth thousands of dollars in aesthetic services from the caller, and additional thousands of dollars in revenues from the friends they refer. The phone is your friend. By the way, that should be your new mantra. The telephone is not a distraction, nor is it an interruption or a nuisance. The telephone is the gateway to your practice and the door to new patients who are interested in learning more about you. It's also a friendly haven for your returning patients who want to see you again. Please answer the telephone with a smile. It doesn't cost anything and the results can be amazing. By the way, the tone of your voice tells the caller what kind of mood you're in. Be sure they only hear the friendly, enthusiastic, helpful side of your personality. Now, to help you be on for every single call, use props if you have to. Place a mirror by the telephone to gauge your expressions, and put a sticker on the telephone arm that says opportunity or dollar signs to remind you just how important telephone calls are to your success. Now, let's talk about the greeting, because it's definitely not hold please, click. Your greeting will set the tone for the entire discussion. And here's a hint to help build rapport with the caller. Give the caller your name to prompt them for their own name. Here's an example. Good afternoon, this is Dr. Smith's office, Catherine speaking. How may I help you today? Now here's another effective strategy to not only answer the telephone to bond with the caller, but also to promote a particular product or procedure you offer. For example, hello, Dr. Smith's office, now offering the weekend facelift. Catherine speaking. How may I help you today? Now, adding those 5 simple words didn't cost you a dime. They took 2 seconds to say, and the results could be worth thousands of extra dollars to you. It's important to then obtain accurate tracking records so you know how the prospective patients are learning about your practice, what they're interested in, your closing ratio, and so on. You want to know what prompted the caller to pick up the telephone and call you. This is valuable information, and it'll help you determine where to spend your promotional dollars. Keeping a simple phone log like this one next to the phone to make it easy is how you do it. Knowing where the caller came from will always help you determine how to move forward with the call. Because if the caller says, my sister just had liposuction done by Dr. Smith and I want the same, is a way different phone conversation than the caller who wandered onto your website and is asking her very first question about liposuction. Isn't that right? So to find out, simply ask. For example, I'd be happy to answer your question, Sarah. And first, can you tell me how you heard about Dr. Smith? Or, Sarah, I'd be happy to help you. And can you first tell me, how did you hear about us? Every call into your practice should be treated as a hot lead. A prospective patient who took time out from their busy day to call you is typically an interested prospect for your aesthetic services. So treat each of these calls to the best of your ability. While using the caller's name, attempt to close an appointment since there is a chance they're ready to book now without a long, drawn-out discussion. For example, you've greeted the caller, you've learned her name, and she's asking about breast augmentation. So you ask for the appointment by responding, okay, Sarah, I can help you with that. Now, do you have a specific question I can answer, or did you want to schedule some time with Dr. Smith? Or, Connie, let's go ahead and schedule a consultation for you. It'd be a great opportunity for you to meet with Dr. Smith so he can examine you. He'll have you try on various sizes of implants to find the perfect fit for you. Dr. Smith has availability next Tuesday at 3 p.m., or would you prefer something in the morning? Or, Cindy, if you're ready to get started, I can find a convenient day and time for you. Do you prefer morning or afternoon appointments? Now, if the caller still has questions and is not yet ready to book, that's fine. Just pepper your answers with more questions so you can better qualify the caller to determine where they're at in the decision-making process. And you can also learn their hot buttons to repeat back throughout the call. By the way, the more interest you show in the caller, the more likely they are to bond with you, share with you, and book with you. So keep up the dialogue. You want to know if they're just shopping around for the lowest price or if they're ready to book because they saw their girlfriend's result. Here are qualifying questions to help. Sarah, have you been considering this for some time? Or, how soon were you thinking about doing something? Or, What's prompting this call, Sarah? Is there something going on in your life or a special event coming up? Note, if they say a friend referred them, ask for the appointment since they're probably ready to book. But if they're surfing the internet, ask additional questions such as, oh, you saw our website. So are you ready to schedule a visit with us, or do you have a question? Or, is this something you're anxious to do right now? Now, answering the telephone is only the first step. The next step is to actually be helpful to the caller. That means you must be able to answer the caller's questions so they feel comfortable they have enough information to book an appointment. Prepare a binder of frequently asked questions, otherwise known as FAQs, for every procedure and treatment you offer so you can answer simple questions. Every vendor you work with has these FAQs in writing, so keep this binder near the telephone so the answers are readily available. Now, you might want to mute yourself, please. I also suggest the physician record FAQs for each procedure they offer so the receptionist knows what to say and what not to say. And be sure your binder includes answers to commonly asked questions about your practice, such as driving directions, parking, and acceptable forms of payment, and so on. Now, buffer your answers means be conversational when answering questions. It's always nice to add a little extra to soften up your answer rather than storm right in with your response. For example, yes, Sarah, a lot of our patients are having that procedure done. By the way, Dr. Smith has done more than 550 of them with great results. What questions can I answer for you? Or, of course, Sarah, I can help you with that. And you'll be happy to know that Botox is our most popular procedure, and hundreds of our patients come to Dr. Smith faithfully because they love the look they get. What did you want to know specifically? Now here's the tough one. You have to listen. The more the caller talks, the more likely they are to book. Active listening is needed here. Even though you may want to jump in with a response, you'll get a much better outcome if you let the caller talk. They will reveal more information that can help you later. You then want to repeat back to the caller what they told you so they know you heard them correctly and that you truly understand what they're trying to say to you. For example, well, Connie, it sounds like you've researched breast enhancement thoroughly. You want a natural look that lifts, and I'm sure Dr. Smith can give that to you. Let's find some time for you to meet with Dr. Smith so he can show you various sizes of natural-looking implants. Did you have a specific day of the week that works better for you? It's always better to acknowledge when you don't know the answer than it is to wing it. The caller's going to hear the hesitation in your voice if you're not sure, so it's best to address it. For example, Sarah, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to research that answer for you so I give you the correct information. So if you give me your telephone number and where you'll be for the next hour, I'll be happy to call you back with the answer. How's that? Then be sure you call back with the correct answer within the hour. The patient will already feel more bonded to you after this second telephone call because the more points of contact you have with the patient, the more relaxed they'll be with you and more likely to book. Now you want to position the physician. Get in the habit of sprinkling your physician's name throughout your conversation with the caller. The repetition will help the caller recall the doctor's name later, and it's more personable when names are used. And include bullet points about your physician's credentials and what makes your practice different from all the others that they could choose. So here's an example. Your physician trains other physicians on certain procedures. Your physician is a sought-after speaker at medical meetings. Your physician was highlighted for their contribution to the community. You were the first in your community to introduce a certain procedure, or whatever. Oftentimes, the patient just wants reassurance that the physician is good and that they'll be satisfied with the result. For example, Sarah, you'll be in excellent hands. Dr. Smith is one of the most respected surgeons in the country, and he even trains other physicians to perform this procedure. Shall we go ahead and schedule some time for you? Is there a particular day of the week you'd like to come in? Or, Connie, Dr. Smith has performed more than 300 of these procedures with excellent results. Why don't you visit us and view the before and after photos? And you can even watch short videos of patient stories so you can learn more about it straight from patients who've experienced this procedure. Now, is there a particular day of the week you prefer to visit us? Now, callers will ask you very specific questions about the number of treatments they need, the downtime, and the results to expect. Just remember that you're not offering a full consultation over the phone. Tell the caller you can only talk in generalities and in ranges. So here's the big one. Quoting price for minimally invasive procedures. Some patients today believe minimally invasive procedures such as Botox, wrinkle fillers, and laser procedures are a commodity. They don't see any difference between you and your competitors. That's why they're price shopping. If they don't have any other criteria to consider, they base their decision on price because they have nothing else to compare it to. It's the job of the receptionist to position the physician and the practice as the best choice first, and then discuss why your prices are what they are. By the way, you cannot put off callers by not answering the price question. When my team mystery shops practices, we're often told only the physician can quote prices, and that can be a major turnoff to the caller. At least give them ranges and vague pricing parameters so they have some type of framework and so you can move forward in the call. For example, tell the caller what the price entails and why your physician is the right choice for them before you give them the price. For example, Sarah, our wrinkle filler price includes a nerve block so you don't feel any pain, an ice pack you take home with you to help reduce any swelling you may get, and we guarantee less than a 15-minute wait, all for only $450. How does that sound? And if you're the first office this prospective patient is calling, they may get sticker shock because they didn't realize how much aesthetic enhancement can cost, especially if they see ads with really cheap prices. Let me repeat, it's the job of the receptionist to prepare the patient ahead of time by educating them on why their physician and their office are the logical choice at a fair price. That way, the caller will perceive a higher value for you and your services and won't be taken back when prices are quoted. For example, Sarah, just so you know, this popular procedure used to cost more than $5,000 with the old technology, and it included weeks of downtime. However, the new advancements in technology include only 1 week of downtime, and the cost is much lower at only $3,000. Shall I look for some time on our schedule for you to meet with Dr. Smith, or did you have more questions? Oftentimes, the caller just wants to be sure you're fairly priced, and you can save them time from shopping around by simply saying, Sarah, you should know we're competitively priced with the other board-certified plastic surgeons in the area, and you can be sure you'll be happy with your result since Dr. Smith personally does his own Botox and wrinkle injections. Now, another price strategy is to buffer pricing with a sense of comparison to something else, so the prospective patient has some frame of reference. For example, you'll be happy to know, Sarah, we just got in the latest state-of-the-art equipment that's 5 times faster than the older technology, and it's painless. It's also cheaper than the old technology, so a treatment we used to charge $1,500 for is now only $950. How does that sound? Or, I'd be happy to give you our Botox pricing, Karen, and just so you know, we charge by the unit rather than by the area. This ensures you get the best result because we don't dilute the Botox as much as some other practices might. And Dr. Smith is known as the gentle injector, so you'll have a painless treatment and you'll be able to go right back to the office with nobody suspecting you've done anything. How does that sound? Or, I'm glad you asked, Sarah. Normally the price is $350. However, we have a special in this month's patient newsletter that includes a $50 gift certificate towards your first aesthetic procedure with us. I can extend that special offer to you if you're interested. Now, let's talk about quoting prices for big-ticket surgical procedures. While you don't want to quote big-ticket prices over the telephone, today's aesthetic patient wants information and will not be easily dismissed. They want information when they want it, and the topic of fees is probably on their minds, especially for surgical procedures. You might as well prepare for the inevitable, so you give the caller what they want, and then you get what you want, which is to keep the call moving along to a booked appointment. Use a range when quoting surgical prices so you don't lock yourself in, but you do give the caller some information as well as options. For example, sure, Sarah, Dr. Smith's surgical fees for that procedure, they can range from $1,500 to $3,000 depending on how much time is involved, and then other fees would include the anesthesiologist, the lab work, and the postoperative garments. Or, well, Connie, the doctor would have to see you to determine exactly what needs to be done and quote you an exact fee. But here's an idea of what you could expect. The fee would include Dr. Smith's time, the operating room costs, the anesthesiologist's fee, the necessary lab work, and the post-operative garments. Now all of that would range somewhere between $3,500 and $5,000, or it can start at $90 per month if you use our affordable financing option. Or, I can tell you we're price competitive with other board-certified plastic surgeons in the area. Or, Sarah, liposuction can range anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 per area, depending on the amount of fat to be removed, the anesthesia used, and the time it takes. Or, breast augmentation typically ranges from somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000, and we offer attractive financing programs starting at $80 per month. How does that sound? Now, you may have noticed in the above examples, it can help to break down pricing to its lowest denomination, so it's more palatable to the patient. For example, Sarah, we offer a package of 6 treatments, which means each treatment is only $150 versus its full regular price of $200. Or, our pricing for fractional skin resurfacing starts at only $50 per month if you want to take advantage of our affordable financing package. By the way, if your office charges a consultation fee, be sure the patient understands the parameters so there are no surprises when they get to your office. Avoid misunderstandings about money is key to good patient relations and word-of-mouth referrals. For example, Karen, let me explain our process. Now the consultation includes an initial consultation with Peggy, our patient care coordinator, who can go over your personal situation and learn more about your concerns. She'll then discuss the basics with you to determine your needs. She'll also tell you more about our practice, our patients, and Dr. Smith. You'll then have a computer imaging session to determine your particular concerns and possible outcomes. Then Dr. Smith will examine you and talk with you personally about your concerns as well as solutions he recommends. You'll then return to Peggy to go over any other questions you may have, and at that time she'll discuss financial options with you as well as possible surgical dates. Now, the entire process takes from 45 to 60 minutes and it costs $150. By the way, if you book a procedure within 90 days, the $150 goes towards that. Shall I look for a certain day and time for you, or should I just give you our next available appointment? Or, just so you know, Connie, a 1-hour consultation with Dr. Smith and Amy, our patient care coordinator, is $100 and is payable at the time of your appointment. And it'll be deducted from your surgical fees should you decide to move forward within 90 days. Now, what do you say when the caller asks about pain? When interviewing patients for my book, the subject of pain came up often. Some of the patients could still feel the jabs, pricks, and heat from their last treatment, and they were not anxious to repeat it. I suggest having a ready-made answer, so when the caller asks, "Does this hurt?" the response can be, "Well, Sally, other patients have told me it felt kind of like a rubber band sting, but it was quite tolerable." Or, "Sarah, I assure you Dr. Smith does everything he can to ensure you're comfortable during the procedure." Or, "Well, Sarah, I can tell you that I've had it done and I'm a big baby and it wasn't bad at all." So when the caller asks about downtime, this is a tough one because downtime is a big topic for busy people, so you want to address it realistically and pragmatically. For example, "Well, Sarah, there's always a chance of bruising and swelling for the first 2 or 3 days, so if we have to, we'll show you how camouflaging makeup conceals it so you can go right back to work." Or, "Well, Sarah, I can tell you 4 out of 5 of our patients return to work within 1 week, and a few take a bit longer." This way, they know it should take about 1 week to recover, and if it takes longer, they won't be surprised because they'll be the 1 out of 5 that took a bit longer to heal. Because here's an important tip to remember. If you tell a patient ahead of time, it's an explanation. But if you tell a patient after the fact, it becomes an excuse. So when the caller asks if it's safe, a good response is yes or absolutely. Although there are always risks associated with any medical procedure, today's technology is extremely precise and safe. When you come in for evaluation, we'll go over all that with you in detail so you're well informed. Shall I look for possible days and times you can visit us? Now, some callers ask about a particular procedure by brand name. Several vendors have invested heavily in consumer awareness for their particular technology. That means you'll get telephone calls asking for a particular procedure by name. So if you offer it, great. But if you don't, all is not lost. there's still an opportunity there to turn the caller into a new patient if you're prepared with an alternative answer. For example, a prospective patient calls in and asks if you do the procedure they saw on a TV show or one they saw a celebrity talking about. So your response could be, Sarah, yes, I've heard of that, and Dr. Smith did careful research on that procedure as well as other technologies talked about at the medical meetings he attends. Now, while he found that specific procedure to be good, he found blank procedure to be even better. If you want to learn more, I see Dr. Smith has 2 openings. There's one this Friday at 3 p.m. or next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Do either of those work for you? Now, we need to talk about converting the call to an appointment. This is where the rubber meets the road. This one skill is the most important skill to be mastered. Learning this skill turns an okay receptionist into an exceptional receptionist. The main objective of the receptionist is to book an appointment, period. This could take 1 to 4 attempts throughout the call, but it'll be natural if it's kept conversational. Now, although I've used many closes throughout the above examples, let's go over them again. A close is as simple as asking that one extra question in a creative way. Instead of asking yes/no questions such as, would you like to schedule an appointment, try the choice close instead. So rather than the patient deciding if they should visit at all, they're deciding when they should visit. For example, Connie, I know Dr. Smith would like to examine you and show you before and after photos of great results our other patients have gotten. He happens to be available this Friday at 2 p.m. or would next Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. work better for you? Or, well, Connie, let's first see what the schedule looks like to give you some idea of when you could visit us. Do you prefer a morning or afternoon appointment? Or, Helen, is there a certain day of the week that works better for you, or should I just tell you our next available appointment? Or, Sarah, the best place to start is with a consultation with Dr. Smith. That way you can have all your individual questions answered. You can see our facility, meet Dr. Smith and the staff, and see other patients' results. Let's go ahead and schedule a day and time for you to come in and visit with us. How about this Thursday at 3 p.m. or would Friday at 10 a.m. work better for you? Now, it's human nature to want something you can't have, so use that to your advantage. Be sure the caller knows how busy Dr. Smith is, but you'll do what you can to get her in to see him. For example, Sarah, you should know Dr. Smith is very popular and is typically booked out 2 to 4 weeks. However, I see next Tuesday at 3 p.m. just opened up if you're interested. Now, it's also human nature to put things off rather than just make a decision. So again, knowing that can help you help the caller make a decision now rather than continue to put it off. Add a sense of urgency so they have a good reason to decide now. For example, Connie, you're calling us at the perfect time. We just announced a summer special on that procedure in our patient newsletter. That means you're entitled to $75 off if you can visit us this month. Shall I look for an opening for you? Now, if the caller's hesitant and says something like, gee, I don't know, I'll think about it, try to engage them. Offer to go to your website with the patient to show them other patient photos, and you can tell anecdotal stories to help the prospective patient relate to other patients. And by all means, share your own personal story with the caller if you've experienced the very procedure they're interested in. That instantly turns you into an experienced advisor, and it reassures the caller. These additional strategies might be just what the caller needed to be comfortable enough to book the appointment. Now, you want to try one more time. The caller may be hesitating because they're not yet ready to meet the doctor for a full-on consultation. However, they may be ready for a less invasive procedure to get their feet wet in aesthetics. Here's an effective response. Sarah, it sounds like you're not quite ready for a full consultation with Dr. Smith, but you did mention you were anxious to improve your skin, so I do have one more idea. We offer a get-to-know a skin evaluation package that includes a skin analysis photo session with our esthetician Peggy, a wonderful exfoliating and moisturizing facial treatment, and a free makeup session afterwards to include one sample product of your choice. Now, the entire package retails for $300. However, as a new patient, you would get it for only $97. Does that sound like something you'd be interested in doing? Now, even if you can't book the consultation, all is not lost. You may have done everything right, but the patient is just not ready for whatever reason. Don't take it personally. They may just be saying, not now or not yet, so do what you can to collect as much of their contact information as possible so you can stay in touch and be there when they are ready. For example, okay, Sarah, since you're not quite ready to book a personal consultation, perhaps you'd be interested in attending one of our complimentary informational seminars. Seminars are a great opportunity for those who are not able to come into our office during normal office hours or who prefer a more informal group setting. Now, you get a chance to hear Dr. Smith speak, see a slide presentation with lots of before and after photos. You can ask questions during our Q&A period, and patients are on hand to speak with you about their own experiences. Would you like to attend the next one? Or, well, Sarah, it seems you're not quite ready to book a consultation, but I'd be happy to send you our e-newsletter with exclusive web offers if you give me your email address. Or would you prefer I email you a hard copy? I'm sorry, would you prefer I mail you a hard copy? Or, Sarah, I have an idea. We have an open house coming up next month. These are always fun events in our office because we serve wine and food, we give away samples, Dr. Smith gives mini presentations, and we have very special pricing that evening only. If you're interested, I can mail or email an invitation for you and a friend. Now, you've booked the appointment, and the next challenge, I'm sorry, I should have moved those slides. Sorry about that. Now, you've booked the appointment, and the next challenge is to ensure they show up, because the reality is you have a higher incidence of no-shows in aesthetic medicine since the patient doesn't have to see you, they want to see you, and especially if they're coming from the internet or mass advertising. Put a no-show policy in place and be sure your patients and prospective patients know about it. For example, after you book their first appointment, you want to say, okay, Sarah, you're all set for next Tuesday at 3 p.m. And just so you know, we have a 24-hour cancellation policy in place. So if for any reason you need to change your appointment, just call us to avoid being charged for a missed appointment, okay? Now, some of you are saying, but I didn't get her credit card number. There's some psychology at play here. Even though you don't have the credit card number, the expectation has been set, and that could be enough. Or if it's a big enough issue in your practice, start collecting credit card numbers just like they do when you book a spa treatment or a dinner reservation. Also, to help keep these no-shows to a minimum, call the patient 48 hours before their appointment to remind them, preferably on their cell phone. Tell them you look forward to meeting them and gently reiterate your 24-hour cancellation policy. For example, hello, Sue. This is Cindy from Dr. Smith's office. I'm calling to remind you about your first appointment with us on Monday, August 6th at 1 p.m. I'm really looking forward to meeting you, and so is the rest of our staff, as well as Dr. Smith. See you Monday, or if you have any reason you can't make it, simply call me back at 232-123-4567 by tomorrow. And if it's a returning patient, use this opportunity to tell them what's new in your office. For example, hello, Sue. This is Cindy from Dr. Smith's office. I'm calling to remind you about your next appointment with us on Monday, August 6th at 1 p.m. And by the way, we now offer skin tightening, so let me know if that sounds interesting, and we can schedule extra time to talk about it. So here are the pearls. With the right attitude, scripts, and with practice, the receptionist can become a major profit center in an aesthetic practice, and that leads to many more callers converting to appointments. Because this I know for sure, you are losing a ton of money by not having skilled staff answering your phones. And it's not their fault they weren't trained properly, but look at what this is costing you. If you lose just one caller per day who is worth, and let's just say on the low side, $2,000, if you do the math, do you know that adds up to $500,000 a year? Now, I realized I covered a lot here because it took me years of research and practice to come up with the right words to say for a variety of these calls. And I'm offering you those scripts for a really great price with bonuses. And just so you know, a receptionist is not born. They are trained. An exceptional receptionist is given the right tools to help them succeed. So this is what I came up with to help. Exceptional Receptionist Guidebook, Flip Chart, and Audio. It gives your receptionist the exact words and scripts so they need to bond with the caller, to answer inquiries effectively, and to close the appointment. And it also comes with staff scripting for success. It includes a guidebook and audios with scripts and steps your patient care coordinator needs during consultations to build rapport with the prospective patient, to address their concerns, to promote your practice's uniqueness, and to close procedures. And because you're on this webinar, you get those tools for 50% off. But you must use this code called DOC, D-O-C-K, for Practice Doc or Located Doc. It's D-O-C-K when you go to our shopping cart. And I'm including several bonuses because I really want you to succeed. So if you order by Friday at 5 p.m., you also receive a free DVD of this webinar so you can watch it again and again, and you can give it to new staff hires in the future. So I'll actually train your new hires for you. You get a free laminated phone guide that includes the 5 phone fixes guaranteed to improve your conversions. And I'm even going to throw in our new Cliff Notes called Converting Aesthetic Patient Consultations. Easy to follow, step-by-step instructions to a yes. You can order these tools online at cosmeticimagemarketing.com, or you can always call us in the office toll-free, and that number is 877-339-8833. And don't forget, you've got to use that special code to get 50% off. You have to use that special code DOC, D-O-C-K. So that's it for me, and Jennifer, I'm going to pass it back to you.
Thank you very much, Catherine. That was all very informative. I hope you all were able to learn a lot today. Another marketing tool that some of you may find useful is that Practice Doc offers all of our doctors called call tracking. Call tracking has 4 key features. Where a potential patient calls in, our system will capture the contact information such as name, number, and where the patient's calling from. So if your team forgets to write down the contact information, the service will capture it for you. Call tracking will also record all your calls. You can use these recordings to evaluate how well your staff's performing, as well as replay what a potential patient may have said if needed. And that leads right into the training of your staff. You can use this tool to exhibit a good call from a bad call and reward those on your team who do a great job. The 4th way many of our doctors use call tracking is to track individual ad campaigns. We can assign a different call tracking number to your print ad, your radio ad, TV, directory listing. You can then track who and how many are calling off a certain ad. That way, for example, if you spend $5,000 on a print ad and no one called, then you may really want to reevaluate where you spend those marketing dollars next time. Call tracking can help you monitor where you return investment for each of these. And now just moving on to this next and last slide, I just want to give you all a little bit of background about our services at Practice Doc. We offer multiple online marketing solutions for our doctors, looking to market non-insured procedures and treatments such as cosmetic surgery, cosmetic dentistry, bariatric surgery, IVF, LASIK, acupuncture, anti-aging, med spas, you name it. Many of you may be familiar with our flagship patient lead generation network, locateddoc.com. LocatedDoc is actually the longest running patient lead network online, operating for over 13 years. I'm actually really excited to announce this week that just last week we relaunched a brand new beautiful site, and it's already generating even more patient leads for our doctors. So make a note, if any of you are not already listed on the site, you can actually start a free listing at www.locateddoc.com and click on the Doctors Only tab at the top navigation, and that's where you can begin to add your free basic listing. We also offer custom website and mobile design building. You can start with a template, or we can create a custom site for you. The great thing about our websites is once we are ready to launch, you will have full control on adding in new content, pictures, additional pages, blog articles, whatever else you may want on your site by using our content manager. What's also nice about this feature is because you're able to make your own updates, you never have to pay or wait for a web designer to do anything for you ever again. Also, if you already have a website built, but you don't have access to update your own content, we can actually take your site and migrate it into our content managers to give you full control of your updates. The next item we offer is video production services. We actually have a team of across the U.S. and Canada that are experienced in producing quality medical practice videos. If any of you are thinking about having a video produced, video has been a great way for our doctors to connect with patients online before they even meet them in person. Plus, I will say we found that on Google Google loves to rank videos very high, so the more videos you post, the better you should rank on Google. Another marketing service that we offer our clients is our 13 years of SEO experience. The same year we launched Locator Doc, Google also launched, and from day one our team has had to make sure we understood SEO for doctors inside and out. We've spent much time learning this daily business of how to keep a website ranked high in the rankings. And that's why we began offering advanced SEO marketing for doctors that just can't seem to get their site listed organically on the first page of Google. So if you need help with that, we can definitely help you out with SEO. Also, another way you can guarantee prominent placement on Google or any of those search engines is to pay for a pay-per-click ad campaign. If you don't want to do this yourself or just don't find the time to manage it, we also offer pay-per-click campaign management. And one of the last products we offer can save you a lot of time and money before any consultation. We provide 3D patient education videos that help educate a patient on different procedures before you actually see them in your office. You can post the animations on your website, in your waiting room, or even as an intro to your consultation. As you know, it ends up saving you time and money if the patient's educated before you see them. Well, I'd like to thank you all again for joining us today, and thank you, Catherine, for your wonderful advice. If you have any questions, would like to learn more about any of the PracticeDoc marketing service I've mentioned to you, you can go to www.practicedoc.com and fill out the Contact Us form, or call toll-free 866-917-1439, or you can email us at solutions@practicedoc.com. I see some of you have a few questions. Keep them coming. We don't have a lot of time today to answer them, but we will definitely get back to each of you individually with an answer after this webinar. And also, if anyone on your team has missed this webinar and you'd like to them to see it, we're having it on demand online soon. I'll email each of you when it's ready. And I hope each of you have a wonderful day.
Thank you.